Hello there.
All right.
Yeah, not too bad.
No,
Yeah,
cool.
so we're doing Foundation season 2.
Yeah. So I've been looking forward to this for a while.
Yeah, me too, because the first season was excellent.
Yeah, and it's all about 2 years ago now. Something.
Yeah, really well done. I know a lot of people having a problem because it doesn't really follow the book that much, but last time I read it, I was very young. I'd say, well, at least beneath 14 anyway, because I
Yeah.
remember my dad had the book Foundation. Well, he had one of the books, and I read it, and he was still in the house, so like, because they split up when I was like 14. So and I felt naughty doing it because it was my dad's book.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and it was very adult for someone of that age. But I do remember, the only things I kind of remember from it is maths being like magic. They
Yeah.
were so advanced that it was like magic. And when he turns up at the end of the season or end of the book, and I was like really disappointed because I was expecting it to be some kind of alien vault of ancient knowledge. You know what I mean? But it turns out it's just Harry Seldon.
Yeah.
like, but I was quite young, so I can't really remember. Do I remember a lot about it? I remember the Emperor, but that's about it. So I'm not too fussed about. I mean, haven't they got like a family member involved in it? Asimov is definitely
I don't know.
there's a surname there, Asimov, on the credits. So I'm assuming they've got their blessing, and apparently there's issues with. Oh no, I'm thinking of something else now. There might be some issues with copyright and things like that. So certain things they can do. Some I don't know. Maybe I've got that wrong, but anyway, they've done as you know, in my opinion, they've done a fantastic job. Absolutely looks gorgeous.
Yeah, it does look amazing.
Cinematography and all of that stuff is and the actors are fantastic actors in it.
Yeah, they're all pretty good, I think.
Pace, yeah, all of them are really good. I really like this episode because I really liked out of everything. There was a lot. They packed a lot into this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really like Gaal and Salva Hardin, their relationship, because Salva Hardin is her daughter,
Yeah.
but she's older and more
Yeah.
wise, to the world, and I'm quite enjoying that because Gail's like a young woman still, she's quite young,
Yeah.
and Salva's been around a bit. She's a warden, and things like she got up one morning, had a walk round, got them some fish. She's really practical. Do you know what I mean? She's really useful
Yeah. Especially she's grown up on.
person, person to have, and
Yeah.
like she's kind of putting her mum to shame. But obviously, Gail's a different kind of person, as in like she's more. Well, she's got all the maths and stuff, hasn't she? So
Yeah.
she's still very young. So yeah, it's a really interesting
Yeah.
relationship between them.
It's weird because I mean, it's literally just occurred to me when you said that, like, because like Salva grew up on Terminus. It's a very harsh
Yeah,
environment,
she's a
etc., and stuff
survivor.
like that.
Yeah.
But there's no fish there, so I don't know where she learned to fish. But there you go.
Yeah.
But it just occurred to
You
me.
don't know. They might have had a lake somewhere.
But you thought she might have been quite sort of scared of massive loads of ocean and stuff like that.
Well, I would be. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting you say about the differences from the book because I read it very young. I didn't read all of them, and I remember
Yeah.
finding it quite hard going. But I was very young, same as yourself, and I actually don't remember anything
That
about it.
much.
I
Yeah.
just remember jumping forward through time in big chunks and stuff. I didn't actually realize in the book that, like, I didn't realize they gender swapped Gail's character. I didn't realize in the book she
Yeah. He
was a
was. It
guy.
was. He was male.
I didn't know anything about that. I mean, it's interesting. I wrote that down, the differences from the book, and I've put I don't care.
No, I
But
don't either.
I think
I
it's,
mean, it's
but that's because I don't remember it as much, It's, I mean,
yeah,
I'm usually, I think we talked about this before, but like I'm usually one of those like, why deviate from the book if the book is great? But because I don't remember anything from the books, I don't really care. I know there's a few people whinging about it and stuff like that, and I kind
yeah,
of get that. If the books are that precious to you, then yeah, you're going to be disappointed with it. But
yeah,
coming from the position of not really remembering the story, I just taking it for what it is. I think it's great.
yeah. I think it's great. I mean, I get why people are, because Asimov is like one of these classic, big. He's a really
Oh
big
yeah,
science fiction author, one of the first. Very influential. Obviously very clever. Came up with loads of different kind of technologies. It's
yeah. It was
hard
sort of part of the sort
science.
of golden age of sort of
Yeah,
early
yeah,
science fiction. Not the first sort of science fiction, but like that sort of. I can't remember when he wrote this book, probably in the 60s or something. But like,
yeah. It was a long time ago, but yeah,
yeah, but like
he's a
him
big,
and
he's a
yeah,
massive classic name in
yes. I
science
mean, there's sort of
fiction
him and Arthur
history.
C. Clarke and Ray Bradbury. Yeah, are like
Mm.
the ones I used to really enjoy. And they're the sort of big, big three, I suppose, at that time, and still like really influential, and it's still,
Yeah, Bradbury's. All of them are really good.
yeah, I mean, those are the ones that I sort of grew up reading. I love, got loads of other Isaac Asimov stuff.
I mean, I get it if you'd. I mean, I'd be annoyed because I've only read Foundation once at a very young age, and I read like Lord of the Rings, for instance. I've read that 3 times, and that to me is a masterpiece, and you don't need to change it.
Yeah.
Um, and I would be upset if they did change it. Um, I've
Well,
never read
they,
the Similarian, um, but
well, they did. I mean, they did change it, didn't they? Like that's why the reason why the Hobbit movies were kind
just
of
shit.
panned, and it's so
Yeah,
weird that Peter Jackson went from
from
masterpiece, The
that to
Lord of
the
the
other.
Rings,
Yeah,
to The
yeah.
Hobbit, because like basically they just thought, oh, characters, people liked Orlando Bloom as Legolas, so we'll just chuck him in, but he just wasn't in it.
No,
The fucking White Orc, who's the baddie in that, him and Smorg, but like Smaug, but like he wasn't in it. It was just totally
no.
made up. It's like, and I remember, seeing all that, and I mean, I don't think I've
Um,
even watched them all.
the elf
You
lady
know,
was in it as well, and she wasn't in it
she
either.
wasn't in it. They just needed to give her something to do.
And then there
I
was
feel
that
bad for that.
relationship between the elf and the dwarf. Yeah, it just didn't make any fucking sense. And it was too long.
Yeah, 3 movies felt like it was weird.
I mean, it's a 300-page book. All of that kind. I mean, I get it. I get why people get upset about these things because some things are sacred and stuff like. I mean, I can't stand anyone covering Bob Marley tracks. I just think, what the
Yeah.
fuck are you doing? Yeah, because to me, he's. I've got every album that he's ever done, and every album you can't. There's like he's one of the only artists I know that you don't skip any of his. When you've got a
Yeah,
CD or whatever, you don't skip his tracks. There's Kaya. There was only one song I've ever skipped past, and there's one on Kaya that I didn't like. I think someone covered it, and it was it's the shittest song ever. Um, but someone covered it, and I didn't like that. And it gets me upset.
yeah,
Gets me upset when someone touches it. Like someone doing an AC/DC cover or something like that. I just think, oh, why? Why have you done that? Or
yeah.
like someone doing Led Zeppelin
It's sort of a
cover. I just think, what the fuck are you trying
pub
to
band
do?
thing, isn't it? It's just like fair enough. You're
Oh
doing it
yeah,
in
in
a
a
pub.
pub, I get it.
Yeah,
If you're a covers band, but like if you're an artist now and you came out and did a Led Zeppelin cover or you did Bob Marley or whatever, I'd just be like, what the fuck are you
you
doing?
should check out a band called Greta Van Fleet,
All right.
which are they're sort of a band only been around for a couple of years. They're all sort of really young. The band they're like sort of like 20 years old, um, but they basically do a very heavily Led Zeppelin inspired. I mean, a lot of people accuse them of ripping them off, but
All right.
and I was like, well, that's like heresy, being a
Yeah.
huge Led Zeppelin fan.
They should all
But
be burnt at the stake.
well, you check them out, and they're actually really, really good. Like really, really, really good.
I'll check them
I
out.
really, really
Yeah.
enjoyed them actually. But anyway, back to Foundation. But yeah,
Yeah, that's enough chat.
but
Yeah.
it's a that's. I mean, again, I talk about this. I wrote this down so it's different from books. So it's like I've got a different sort of. I've got nothing too invested in it. So I'm just
No.
taking it for what it is, and I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think they're all really good. I think the
Yeah,
production is absolutely
yeah.
fantastic. Anyway, so we'll
So
get back to the actual
yes,
episode.
so it starts off. You've got Harry gibbering to himself,
Yeah, raving. Yeah.
sort of and we find out a bit later he's kind of trapped inside the prime radiant,
Mm.
which is basically, I was like, what's that? But it's the device, that he encoded psychohistory
Yeah.
and all his plans into and stuff like that. So he's basically stuck inside there. He's obviously not just in there because he's also inside the vault on Terminus.
Yeah. So
Um,
there's two copies of him. There's
yeah,
two copies of his. So that'd be interesting to see how different they are because they've evolved in different ways over
yeah.
138 years.
And if there's any more,
If it might be, yeah. I mean, you would, wouldn't you?
yeah. I mean,
Um,
it's interesting because he says that, or Gaal says a bit later on that she trapped him inside there last night. Like this is after she's just met up with Salvo. She said, "I put him in there last night," and I was like,
yeah.
"Really?
When did that happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how did you do that? Where was he before?" Yeah, I'm sort of a bit confused about that
But I think
aspect
that
of
that
it.
goes back to their relationship now because Gail's still young and they had Gail and Harry had an argument last time on the ship,
Yeah,
and she should have been on Terminus,
yeah,
but all the plans got fucked up because she had the knowledge of the future and was worried about Rach, and
yeah,
she went to go and find him, and she shouldn't have been there to see that. But then Rach had to sort of make a decision at the moment to get her, to rescue her and put her in a pod
So that's
to
kind of where we left it, wasn't it? The last
yeah,
series, but like
yeah,
they were on the way to like Harry's homeworld or something, weren't they?
yeah. Gail should have been on Terminus.
Yeah, but
That was part of his plan and part of his
yeah, but
calculations. Yeah,
instead she ended up on the ship that just had Harry on it, and they were going
yeah,
to Harry's homeworld. I can't remember the name of the place. But like I'm a
yeah.
bit confused, sort of how she got
What,
him.
on his ship?
Well, how she got him inside the Prime Radiant? Like when did
I
that
don't know.
happen? Did
She
that
figured
actually
it out
happen?
on Synax, didn't she? She figured it out.
But
Yeah,
like
it was off screen. It didn't. It didn't. We didn't see it happen.
no, I was gonna say because like he
Yeah.
wasn't. He's not like a ghost. She can, trap like Ghostbusters. So
No.
I didn't really understand that. I must say that was, I mean, out of the whole episode, that's the bit I don't really quite get. She was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I trapped him in there last night while you were sleeping." To Salvor,
Yeah.
very weird. Anyway, so we don't know. I'll have to have a look about that.
It doesn't happen on screen because I've watched it a couple of times now. But what I get the feeling is, when you're young and you've had an argument with someone in an authority, and the fear that you've got of seeing them again after you've let loose.
So you imprison them.
Well, no, obviously, well, I haven't got that capability, unfortunately, but it would be handy.
Yeah, it's the only plot hole in this episode. Maybe I've missed something really obvious, but I just don't get it. I don't understand how she did
Yeah.
that. If he's like a sort of AI construct thing, where did she
I
go? Right
suppose
in
as
the box.
a plot device, you could you see a flashback of Harry. I mean, he's trapped inside the Prime Radiant, which we don't really find out until about halfway through the episode.
Yeah,
He's in a prison, and you think it's just his own mind, and you know that he's been put into a data storage device, so it could be like data. You know what I mean? Like his
yeah.
mind is stuck in something. So I thought it was kind of that at
Well, yeah, but
first.
like, when did she do it? And it's like because then she got in a pod and flew off to Synax.
Yeah, she said she did it last night.
Yeah, but I don't understand. So
Yeah.
before that, he was just walking around next to her. I don't know.
No, he was in a data storage device that she had. It was in a
Oh,
flash drive, mate.
oh, was he?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
And then
remember
she
that
put.
at all.
I don't know
Okay.
why she put him in there. It wasn't really explained. Anyway, he's
Yeah,
in there.
he's in
Um,
there. So yeah, so and it's kind of, you know, I mean, it's weird because at that point I was like, oh, he's inside the vault. That's what I
yeah,
thought.
I didn't know. Yeah, I know
Um,
what you mean.
and
Yeah,
and obviously there's like a link. There's got to be a link between the two because while this is happening on Synax, she's imprisoned him in the Prime Radiant. The vault is opening up on Terminus at exactly the same time. So how is that connected? So that's pretty
yeah.
interesting, I
It's
thought.
pretty good fucking Wi-Fi, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like
Yeah.
quantum entanglement or something.
Ah, yeah,
But
maybe.
but
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but I mean, I don't know. It's not explained, and you know, maybe we'll come to that again. There may be
Well,
more.
I thought maybe like if there's two Harrys, there's like two versions of his consciousness. Um, they're going to have different outlooks.
Yeah,
So there might be a thing later where they meet and have a bit of a,
I'm
bit of
sure
an
they will. Yeah,
argument.
or maybe
Yeah, I thought
reintegrate or
that
something.
could be interesting, but if they are quantumly entangled, then they're going to be up to date, aren't they, with everything?
I don't know. It doesn't. I'm sure that I'm hoping that will become apparent because I mean it's got to be because otherwise why would there be two? Um, I, but but yeah. So anyway, so
Mhm.
yeah, we see he's inside, sort of gibbering to himself, um, and then we see Salvor and Gaal have their sort of reunion sort of thing, and you know it's like oh, okay,
Yeah,
um, and
and
they're
then
just like
there's
I
a
came
really
here
good,
to find you and all that shit.
yeah, and like Gail's not having any of it. she's
Yeah,
she's like, "What? I'm a mum now?
yeah.
What?
What?
Yeah." Well, she's like 16 or
Well, to look
something.
after
She's
you or
really young.
something.
And Salva's kind of like, I think she had this expectation that she'd have a big hug and a big
Yeah.
reunion with her biological mum and everything, and wants to know everything, which is fair enough. But yeah, Gail's quite shocked, really.
Well, yeah, because
Um,
she didn't, you know, she stored the embryo away. It's not like, you know, she wanted to have a baby. They basically had a baby without her permission.
yeah, so
So,
it's a
you know,
bit it's a bit much.
a
Um,
little bit. So they have a little chat and stuff like that. And they
yeah,
kept that quite short and it was okay.
yeah,
And then the next thing we're back on Trantor and it's all 140 years from the last episodes, isn't it? And like we see
yeah.
Trantor has obviously
The
the
rings.
sky bridge is gone. So yeah, they've got these rings thing, which is pretty cool. He's banging the android because he can. Um,
Demoiselle. Yeah,
Denzel, she's my
so
favourite character. I think. Actually, I
she's
mean, she's
great. Yeah,
really.
he's really good as well.
Yeah,
Pace
he's
is
good.
really good.
Yeah, he's buff as hell, isn't he? As well, he's proper
Yeah,
like yeah,
fantastic fight scene.
yeah. Lee Pace
A
is really sort of
naked man
yeah.
kicking the shit out of
But
people.
that was good because I was like, you know, I was watching that and he's like enjoying himself.
Oh yeah, he's
Yeah, he's
really
quite
into it.
enjoying it
Like, I'm
because
gonna fuck you up.
but you know, at
Yeah,
this point, I was like, is it a test or something? Is it like fucking Peter Sellers in those Inspector Clouseau movies where he keeps Kato around to occasionally jump out at
yeah,
him,
yeah.
just
It could have
eat
been.
the elements.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I thought it was actually, because he was sort of like quite enjoying himself, sort of like beating people up and shit. And then he's like, "How do you think you're going to breach my aura?" Because they all wear the aura shields, and the guy just shoots him in the shoulder, and he's like, "Fuck."
Then you realise he's actually in
Yeah,
trouble.
but he
Yeah,
just doesn't hesitate at all. He's just fucking like murders, you know, murders them all himself.
yeah. He's a fantastic fighter.
Um, and
Yeah,
he sort of, but he gets slashed with a blade across the chest, and you think, "Oh, that looks painful," but like you know, but then he just sort of flops to the ground, and you think, it turns out it was like a nanotech blade or something.
yeah.
But then Demoiselle sort of like kills the other
Rescues him.
guy, and he does a wonderful sort of knife headshot to another guy. So yeah, it's a really cool scene, a really cool scene. And then basically he's fucked, and he's going to die in 12 seconds. So she picks him up, half her head's missing, and chucks him in this sort of bath of milk. Looks
Stabs him
like,
with stuff.
and all
Yeah.
the thing, and all of this actually was very sort of Dune, reminded me of the Harkonnens of Dune. You
Mm,
know, like he's got these, like especially those assassin guys, the Blind Angels they called them, presumably a terrorist group. They looked very sort of Sudokar sort of Harkonnen sort of shit, and then he's in his bath of milk and sort of, so it was all very sort of Dune, I thought, which was, you can't go
Yeah.
wrong. You can't go wrong with that. I thought it was all very, very good. So that's great. He's sort of in the bath of milk, and then we see Harry's back in the Prime Radiant again, but he's thinking about his childhood, and we see sort of like a brief sort of thing with him and his mum, and
Yeah.
he's
Dad
sort of,
was a bit of an arsehole.
Dad was an arsehole, yeah, slapped him in the
Yeah.
face because he took a piece of paper out of his book, which his mum told him to do. She was like, "Yeah, go on." Right? So he took this piece of paper, and he's basically it's sort of all about geometry. So he's
It's
looking
all
at
about
the,
dimensions,
yeah,
like,
like
yeah.
a 3-dimensional, or yeah, 3-dimensional
It
object having a
says
two-dimensional shadow.
two-dimensional shadow, three-dimensional item.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's interested in sort of like higher dimensions, even as a child and stuff. So that was kind of cool. And then he's back inside. This is all happening inside the Prime Radiant, and then his wife turns up.
Yeah.
Um,
Who
you know,
apparently was a mathematician as well.
yeah, I think she helped him. I don't. It's not totally clear, but apparently in the book, his wife was a robot.
I did not know
I
that.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently he created a robot to protect him or something like that, and ended up sort of banging her. So it seems to be a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't know that either, because I looked
Well, you
up
can
earlier.
program him to do whatever you want, so
Yeah, exactly.
better than
She is a
woman.
robot. Yeah, but even the other guys, even Empire later on, like, because the older Empire is like, you shouldn't really be doing that, and he's like, well, she started it. I suppose.
Yeah, right.
It's like,
So
she's
that
a
kind of
robot.
makes me maybe. I'm kind of thinking, what's she up to?
Oh yeah, totally. Me too.
Yeah.
Like, it would surprise me if she's behind all this assassination shit. Like,
Yeah.
but she seems kind of. I mean, she's a robot, but like, she seems sort of kind and has his interests at heart. But like, we got from the first series, she's like quite clearly traumatized. She's been abused, and because she's the same android, whereas they're,
Yeah. I mean,
reject.
she's been.
Yeah, she's been
Yeah,
there for
she's like over
she's 10.
thousands of years.
I think they
Yeah.
said 10,000 years old or something.
Fuck yeah.
Like, she's got all the memories of all the
You'd be
Cleons and
so
stuff.
bored of humans by that point, wouldn't
Yeah,
you?
but like, she's still, sort of serving them and stuff. So like, I mean, I would say, there's more.
Maybe she's.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe there's more to what's going on, because I remember in the season one where she was talking to the young, so Dawn,
mm,
and so the boy version of the Emperor, and she was saying stuff to him, and I thought, what is she up to? Because
yeah,
they seemed really close, and he would come in to watch her when she was fixing herself up as a robot, and he seemed quite enamored with her. So I don't know if she's been like over the centuries, you know. Maybe she was even the one who screwed up their genetic line.
yeah. I thought that
Maybe,
too. Like, who else would have access to do that?
yeah,
Because it seems like most of the people that they're surrounded with are just kind of like, not mindless slaves, but like, they're all in fear of their life.
yeah,
Like, so, whereas they trust her. So like, I mean, it's got to be that. But then, what are her motives? I don't know. Maybe it's just pure revenge that they've just treated her like shit all this time. I don't know.
well, there was a really good scene in season one where not it's Dusk, but the older Dusk. So Night, who's the he was the version of the Emperor who's going to die, and he was getting fitted for a suit,
Yeah,
and the bloke, his final outfit, and the bloke that was the tailor was fitting him, and he was shaking.
yeah.
He was so obsequious, and so sort of yeah. So if that's the sort of the mentality of their servants, and of course they probably breed servants over the millennia to
Maybe,
to
yeah.
to,
But
to
they just
be.
kill them, doesn't he? Does the
Yeah, it does that. Yeah, and
because he interrogates his, he talks to his security guy and says, "How did they
yeah.
get in and shit?" And he's like, "I don't," he just sort of
He
goes,
didn't
"Well,
know,
I don't
so
know," and he
he's
just goes,
dead.
just dead. And then he said something interesting. He said, "I want all these shades brought in for interrogation." And I was like, "What's that mean?" Because like they're all dead, so presumably they have some way of extracting information
Reading,
from the dead
yeah,
corpses or something. So I tried to Google that, but I didn't have time. So that was sort of interesting.
yeah.
So we're sort of
So right, he's still in the prison. Yana, his wife, turns up,
he
and he's
knows it's
having a
not her sort of thing, doesn't he? Like
yeah. And then we go back to Gaal and Salva,
hmm,
and she wants us to activate the Prime Radiant, and they figure out that because, well, we think that Gaal was not on Terminus, that the timeline is now split,
yeah,
and the timeline they're on is just crisis after crisis.
yeah.
So they figure that out.
Yeah, they still. I mean, it's weird because they're on Synax and like they're on like a tiny hut, the top of a hut. Like it's the only fucking, kind of lucky
So
really that
only a
they
bit
landed
above
there.
water.
um,
Yeah, I was
yeah,
lucky.
you know what
Whole
I mean.
planet.
The whole
Yeah,
planet's gone apart from their hut, which you think it would have rotted away by now. But so the waters are rising. There's a hurricane coming and shit as well, and they're like, we have to get back out to figure out what's going on. She's got a ship which is underwater and stuff. They come to that a bit later. They're talking about their visions that Gaal sees the
yeah,
future and
yeah,
Savile sees the past, or she sees Gale's
yeah.
past. So
Salva's trying to like come up with commonalities
yeah,
between them because she's obviously really pleased that she's got a biological mum that she's meeting,
yeah,
and Gail's like, oh, just fuck off.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I'm just a kid. A kid. I don't know what you're talking about.
yeah. Because Salva's like saying, well, you do the future, I do the past.
We've
That's
got
that's what
something
we.
in common. And she's like,
Yeah,
no,
no, no, we
not having
haven't.
it.
Yeah,
As far as
I
I'm
think she's so.
concerned, yeah, I
I
didn't
mean,
have a baby. You're not mine. You're not wanted.
yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah, but without Salvo, they wouldn't have had those fish to eat. So I think
No,
she,
true. But I mean,
yeah,
I'm sure Gail could do it. She grew up there. She'd be good at fishing.
yeah,
Um,
you'd think so, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Anyway,
so that's. I mean, that could be quite interesting to make their sort of dynamic where she is quite cold towards her because she's like, "You're
yeah,
not my child. You carried by someone else." That would be quite interesting, and then maybe that they would come to trust each other. But they seem to trust each other pretty well.
yeah,
Um, we see a scene on Terminus.
yeah,
And we see the chap, I can't remember his name, he was in Mindhunter. It also reminds me of my dad, that guy. He just looks like my dad.
yeah. He
Um,
does a little bit. Yeah, I
he
think
was a
around
good,
the eyes.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
he's got the same shaped head. Rest in peace. but like, but like, it's only a brief scene we see there. So basically, there's something happening with the vault, coincidentally happening at the same time as Harry's sort of having his moment inside the Prime Radiant.
yeah.
So
The
the
null
vault is
field is contracted
That's
back
right,
to
yeah,
yeah,
and there's light coming out of it, and they're like, "Shit, it's going to happen," but yet it hasn't happened. They're like, something's going on, so obviously it's
mm,
connected to what's going on. Like he's still figuring it.
yeah. It must be.
Harry's figuring it out. But basically, we get from that is that okay, shit's happening. There's a brigadier there, and he's like itching for war. He's like, "Yeah, this is what we're preparing for." Another guy's like, "We're not totally ready," and he's like, "Well, we have to be," sort of thing. So um, they sort of
Yeah,
Terminus is a lot. The foundation is spread out over Terminus. They're obviously
and
sort of
they've had that alliance with the Anacreons and what are the other ones called?
Thespis or something like.
Thespians, yeah.
I don't know.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't. It's only a small scene. I'm sure we'll see a lot more of that.
yeah, I mean, like
Um,
the actual sort of where they lived looked a lot more advanced, um, and the Anacreons sort of to me look a bit Spanish, so they look like there was different sort of races there as well. It looked like to me, it was like you say, it was only small, but it's 140 years later, so they've obviously
yeah,
uh, got on with expanding.
yeah.
Um,
So we then get. I think it then goes back to Harry,
yeah,
and his wife turns into some other woman, or he realizes
Calais.
that Calais, who
Yeah.
is a mathematician who he used
Who?
her ideas about folding space, about
Yeah.
accessing sort of extra dimensions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how she got there.
Well, she was. So I guess. Yeah. No, we found out later on because she's become AI.
Yeah.
AI.
So yeah, the Prime Radiant has this, but he didn't put her there, and he was the one who built it. But like, obviously there was more people involved in making this thing, so that was kind of cool. I mean, I'm still unsure why she put him in there anyway, but
Yeah.
so
So we find out that Damsel initiated sex with Day,
yeah,
Emperor Day, and Day is also suspicious of his brothers. Obviously, he's just had an assassination attempt,
yeah. So
and
that was
it
quite.
gets his brother's minds read.
Yes,
Uh,
there's an interesting conversation he has there that I only noticed the second time when I watched it this morning. Um, so he's like, I felt fear,
yeah.
and the other guys are, oh, well, we're not impervious to it. That's probably to do with the altered genome. And so obviously, because it's a few generations later, and we found out that the previous, that the genome had been corrupted,
Yeah.
like it's deviating from the original Cleon and stuff, which was not the plan.
Yeah.
Well, that's so basically they see fear as
A weakness.
yeah, exactly. I was going to say
Yeah.
perturbation. Why the fuck would I say
What?
perturbation?
What's a perturbation?
Just sort of like a deviancy, in
Is that a word?
thing. I'm sure it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
from perturbed.
I'm liking it. It's good.
Yeah, I don't know why. I
Perturbation.
don't know why I thought weakness is better. But he
Um,
also says there, the younger empire says something about this is why having children is a bad idea. So it's obviously like he's talked about the fact he wants to sort of have children. Well, I
yeah.
think this is a very different empire, sort of brother Day than
Mm,
we've seen from before. He's not. I mean, he's still ruthless and horrible, but like he clearly is like thinking about other things. He's thinking about children. He's getting married.
yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And it's also his aura failed. The
yeah,
protective thing they've got, so that failed as well when the assassination attempt. So that's kind of interesting because how would you?
yeah. It's
It's
got to
got to
be.
be Damsel, isn't
It's
it?
got to be.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking.
But I thought that was interesting that he's obviously had this conversation with them about having children, and he's like, no, 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 because they replaced you, we can't be replaced, and all this shit.
Yeah, because their
Um,
previous legacy of, well, that's been corrupted, like you say. So now he's thinking about, he wants his, so he's thinking more of a as an individual rather than one of
yeah,
three.
yeah, it's talking about his soul and shit.
Yeah,
So I mean, so yeah, he seems a bit more. I mean, he like I say, he's still horrible, but
yeah.
he might be. He seems a bit more sort of human. Um,
They
and
mentioned something about the queen that he wants to marry, or at least as put out there. He's
yeah,
made a proposition, sort of thing. Sareth, and she's from the Cloud Cathedral, which sounds quite interesting.
yeah, it's a cool
Um,
sort of space sequence where you see her coming down from this amazing sort of like ship outside Trantor's rings, and yeah, doesn't.
so she's a new character, and
Mm,
the Rue, who's they call her the Enjoiner, which is probably like her, her
her
handmaiden or what?
attendant, yeah, who's sort of
Yeah,
a demoiselle sort of equivalent, I suppose.
yeah, maybe so.
Um,
And they give their so it's all gifts. So the gift they give was the pigment, and Dusk, brother Dusk, is really
oh yeah,
chuffed
he loves it.
with,
Yeah.
yeah, because he's a painter, isn't he? And
Yeah, sort of. What do they call it? I can't remember. Like,
the Queen kind of
uh,
is it seems a bit rude.
yeah, she's a bit horrible.
Yeah,
She's sort of like, obviously hasn't committed to the marriage either, and like
yeah, they're just checking it out.
he gives her a gift which is like a fucking little bronze,
Brass.
yeah, brass.
I thought
Um,
like gold, maybe.
yeah,
Yeah, it.
yeah, she was super unimpressed and let them know, and then just like
Yeah,
went and handed it to her friend.
yeah.
And then she was
It's
like having a dig at him, saying, "No." because he's like, this represents what we're offering you. And she went, well, the Empire's more than just Trantor, isn't it?
Yeah, just one planet.
Yeah. It's just like, I
Yeah.
would have just been like,
What the fuck are you
next.
thinking?
Yeah. Fuck you talking to, man.
Yes, swipe left. Yeah.
Yeah. Swipe left. Fucking brilliant. That's what they should have called the episode. So that was very
Yeah.
funny. So yeah, she was pretty horrible. I mean, obviously we're going to find out more about
Well, she's got to be a queen in
why.
her own right, so she's got to be a bit imperious, isn't she? She can't be like, "Oh, thank
Yeah.
you for proposing. I'm really chuffed."
Yeah, but I mean, even her attendant said, while they were getting ready, like she can't even spray her own perfume on. She has to get her to do it for her. She says they're right to be afraid of you. But I mean, yeah, we don't know anything about her and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
they've
she
just
seems like
introduced the idea, haven't they, of
yeah.
it?
So
And the brothers aren't happy. Dusk and Dawn aren't happy
yeah,
with
they're
it.
not.
They think it's a
They're
stupid
not down with
idea.
it.
They're not down with it. So then they, obviously Day thinks maybe that's why they try to get him knocked off. But I don't think it's them. I don't think they do that. I don't know. Anyway,
It's weird. She also calls him an usurper, like to his
usurp.
face.
Yeah,
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 and
cheeky.
like even the
Yeah.
other guys are just looking at the Day like,
Wow.
fuck
Yeah, the
off.
fucking mic
The
drop.
fuck do you think you are? Yeah, exactly. Being all sort of rude and shit.
Yeah, being a bit. I hate this word, feisty. That's what people
Feisty.
use.
Well, I mean, it's weird because I was like, she kind of looks like any other bored, strong character, where they just sort of like, nothing bothers me. It's just like, it could have been a bit more interesting, but like, I'm hoping she will be. I mean, I have no idea how she
Well,
fits
they
in with
did
the thing,
mention
but
briefly that she might have killed to get to her position.
yeah,
So,
which isn't a surprise. Like, I mean,
oh no, yeah.
everyone does, don't
All,
they, in this situation? I
all
mean,
of
I've
these,
killed
all of these
people.
kings and queens seem to
Yeah,
be up to it. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I mean, like I say, I killed many people to get where I am today.
But anyway, it's all sort of interrupted by Demoiselle, and she
Oh yeah,
says that, yeah, she says, I need to talk to you, sort of thing, not in front of this person. And I don't know, she could be a little bit jealous, maybe. I don't know.
Demoiselle? Oh,
Yeah,
possibly.
it's possible. I mean, if you've been running a program for that long, over
Yeah,
thousands of years, it's bound to have, upgraded at some time. But anyway, so it turns out that the commander that we saw from the first series 140 years ago, who died,
mm.
they found his like a signature of his nanobots that he's got. He's got what do you call it?
Yeah. He's got like an implant or something, and so
Yeah,
he
yeah.
can communicate. So he sent.
They
Yeah. So
found
I
his
mean,
body.
and he sent a message saying that basically saying that the mega flare was bollocks. It never happened, and that was obviously caused by the warp engines of the Invictus or something.
The Anacreons.
Did they destroy the Invictus?
I felt like that
I,
it was still
I
going.
yeah, I can't
I
remember
felt like it was, yeah. So that could
because
be another story thread as well when the Invictus finally turns up, because it was warping between
yeah,
sort of uncontrollably, but at the end, um, Salva Hardin's the guy who was in charge of her village or whatever plugged himself in to get it back.
yeah,
Some
yeah,
there's
brought
all,
it back to Terminus.
yeah,
But I mean, God, I can't remember. But like, I thought maybe they'd blown up the Invictus to recreate
a solar flare. Oh,
the mega
maybe.
flare.
Do you know, I have to
Um,
watch that again.
yeah, because I can't quite remember.
Yeah.
But so basically, I mean, again, this made me think that Demoiselle is up to something, because how come they've only just got that transmission now, and why is it right at the moment when he's about to get
Yeah,
married
she's
to
got to
some
be
woman?
plugged into all of that, isn't she?
Yeah, so I think like because I mean, how did they only get that information 140 years later? Like, do you know what I mean? I reckon she's had that all
Yeah, I mean,
along.
that body's going to be in deep space, isn't it? It's not just
Yeah,
sort of like floated through the vast,
no, yeah,
you
exactly.
know.
So I think she's had that information all along, and she's
Yeah.
basically been waiting for an opportunity to use it, and this is the
Mm.
time because she sees Empire getting married. Doesn't make sense. I mean, well, I'm sure it does make sense. But that was my thought on that. So that basically,
Yeah,
the
that makes
Empire,
sense that she's
yeah.
up to something.
So Empire are
Um,
now aware that the Foundation is, I mean, it's kind of ridiculous that they don't know. I mean, it just shows how inept they are, or they're showing their ineptitude. They don't know that Terminus has been, the
yeah,
Foundation has been flourishing, and also there's been rumours of an alliance in their sort of outer reaches.
with the
Talk,
Anacreons
yeah,
and
and
the
but they're talking about other worlds as well, not just the Anacreons and
yeah,
that. There's
yeah, I
other
noticed
worlds,
that.
and
Yeah.
they said something about floating people, blue light, stuff like that. I didn't
Oh yeah, what
understand
was
that
it? It was
reference, but
magicians that glow in the dark and
yeah,
fly without aid and are impervious to weapons.
yeah.
So that'll
So
be interesting to
I didn't
find out
really
what that
understand that.
is.
I wasn't sure whether that was like they were trying to start almost like a religious kind of kind of awe. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
interesting how that's going
because
to
the
play out.
assassins were called blind angels. So we've
Mm,
got because I think one of the I can't remember it was Dusk said, "Oh, we've got magicians and we've got angels."
yeah,
So what the fuck is
yeah.
going
So
on?
that's kind of interesting because I don't know. I didn't know what that's referring to because the foundation themselves, they're very practical. There's no sort of religious
Yeah,
aspect to it. There's no floating people. There's no magicians. So it's possible that it's just like a rumor mill. That's
yeah,
the sort of less advanced civilizations maybe are like, oh, these people. So it wasn't clear, and I think that was on purpose. I
yeah,
think
yeah,
hoping we'll find out
yeah.
about
It
that.
sounds fantastical, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um,
So
so
then, oh, they
yeah.
called it Galactic Spirits as
Oh.
well. So that's kind of all in the realm of fantasy and all the rest of it. So yeah,
So, and yeah, like so Brother Dusk is like destroy them now,
yeah,
and Demoiselle interjects again and says, "No, no, no, I would wait. I
yeah.
will go and
She's up
find
to
out what's going
something.
on." And even Brother
Yeah,
Dusk is like, "What really? This is what you got to say?" So I mean, everything's pointed towards her as far as
mm.
I'm concerned. Like I mean, and I can, I mean, it's difficult to know. I mean, it may not be true, but like, it seems like she would be the only one to have the opportunity to do it. She even says
Just
something
the fact
early.
that she's like thousands of years
Yeah.
old.
But she also
Yeah,
said something earlier, which is that, oh, I'm okay. My consciousness is decentralized.
yeah.
And it was just kind of a
Just for
throwaway.
this moment,
Yeah.
actually.
But
Yeah, that's
actually,
Andy.
but like,
Yeah,
but that's kind of interesting because like, if it's decentralized, then, she could be in multiple places at once. She could be, I mean, she's a very smart artificial intelligence. So I wasn't sure if that was like a little kind of an Easter egg. It's
or
like
she decentralized her memory because she knew she'd get her head chopped off.
yeah. So she won't be killed. I thought that was sort of interesting because that scene where
Yeah,
he goes in to see her and she's fixing her head up because she's had her head chopped in half. Like nothing really happens in that scene apart from she's like, "Oh, I'm okay. My consciousness is decentralized." Like
that
surely
bit
he
of
would have known.
information.
Yeah, I thought that was
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
seemed important to me. And he's just sort of like, "Oh, okay." Like
Personally, as well, if I was fixing my head like that, I would have picked up the bit off the floor, so it'd
yeah,
be be a bit quicker. Just
mate,
slap it on.
slap it back on. Yeah, just put a
Yeah,
bandage around it.
yeah. Or some of those, bit of shit that she pours in there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's what I would do. So yeah, no, that's a great point. Yeah, well spotted because yeah,
yeah,
that scene has no other. Um, there's
yeah,
definitely there
it
was
just
nothing
didn't.
else there, was
No,
there?
exactly. So it just kind of
Yeah.
stood out to me, and the fact that he didn't seem to know that,
Mm.
and like, it was all pointed to
Well, if
her.
you're a thousand, if you're like thousands and thousands of years old, you would worry about losing all of that experience,
Yeah,
wouldn't you? So you would definitely, and
so,
especially
yeah,
she's bound to have evolved. And the other thing that's evolved as
yeah,
well is so it's kind of like a parallel is because like Harry's in the Prime Radiant and he says, but I didn't program it to do this. And Callie, I think it's Callie,
Yeah.
and his previous wife. So she says, well, yeah, I've evolved. Well, she doesn't really say that, but what I got from it was that she's now an AI.
Mm.
And because she was programmed, but she's got all of the mathematics from Calais, which is the sort of genius mathematician from years ago. Harry's mathematics, and also his previous wife's. So from all of that maths, she's now evolved. The prime radiant has now evolved
Yeah.
into whatever it is. So that's quite interesting. And then she said that Harry's mind is damaged. And we kind of saw a hint of that in the last season, because when Gaal brought him back online when she went to the ship where, Ray sent her, he was kind of like,
Yeah.
bit fucked up. And she kind of like reinitialized his program, but yeah, so obviously that might be something there. And then she's shitting herself because so what we've missed out is when we go back to Gaal and um Salva, that they're having a chat, and like Salva saying, look, we've got to get out. She's really practical, she's older,
Yeah.
she's got more experience, she's a survivor, so she's saying we've got to get out of here. And the girl saying, yeah, because we've got this hurricane, these shit, these fish have changed colour, so they're going to do a deep dive sort of thing, and that means a hurricane's on the way. And so they have this quite exciting scene where they have to go down and like give each other air and reinitialize the ship. And so there's that. And
Yeah. The shit pops up.
the shit, yeah, so they sort that out. And then
Yeah.
Salva's saying, we need to get Harry back online because he would be able to help us,
Yeah.
you know.
Gail's not having it.
Yeah,
She's like, no.
but he escapes, and the look on his face is murderous,
Yeah.
isn't
He's
it?
like, we need to have a reckoning.
Yeah, reckoning. Yeah.
And
Oh, the other thing as well, before he comes out of the Prime Radiant, is that his ex-wife, I think it was, because it swaps between the two. It's Calais and his ex-wife, and I think it's his ex-wife who says, "Meet me on Oona's world."
I think it was Calais.
Yeah, all
But
right.
yeah, yeah.
So
So
something's up there.
yeah,
Yeah,
Una's world. Don't know what that is. Haven't googled it. So that's where obviously they're going next. Don't know why.
yeah.
So I think that was most of it. I think,
I
and that's
think
the end.
so.
It was when Harry escapes from here. So is Harry popping out in the vault at the same time? Didn't show it in this episode,
Don't know.
but it wouldn't surprise me if he did.
Is the Invictus still about?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I got a feeling that they used it to create the mega flare,
Oh,
and
right. Okay.
but
I'll
I
have to
can't,
watch that
but I
again, I
can't, actually
think.
can't quite remember. So it's interesting if the prime radiant is conscious, what does the prime radiant want?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, I don't know. To be honest, I thought it was a really great first episode because
It
it
was.
carried on straight on. Um, they've done a really good job of like doing the time jumping stuff, but like it's not massively jarring.
No.
It's really cool, in fact, and it's thrown up loads more questions as well.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it really has. So it's like definitely made me like, oh, shit, I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah,
say,
yeah.
I
That was
also,
fantastic.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, Demoiselle is just mental, and the fact she's 10,000 years old and she's religious as well. We got that from the first series. Like she's just really most
Yeah, her
interesting character.
program's not quite right, is it? I
Yeah,
mean,
no,
it's not like the original. And she was banging Cleon the First as well.
yeah, they probably
So
all had
that's
a
a little
go.
bit.
So yeah, she's the prime, the perfect person to steer things along. Perhaps she's basically Empire, really.
Yeah,
It could be that, and
yeah.
they're just there for show.
She might not actually necessarily be malignant either. She might be just like a
No,
very patient, benign,
Yeah, I mean, I get that
Like you say,
impression, but
steer to steer the empire in a direction she thinks is the best,
yeah,
because it has become stagnant. And actually, when they went to that religious planet where she believes in the three, um,
yeah, the three mothers or
the
something
three
like that,
mother,
or
yeah,
the
like a
three
trinity
sisters.
of
Can't remember.
mum, mum, maiden, and hag. So she's well into that religion, and that priestess lady, the very she was very she was great. She was saying you're stagnant. She was really cheeky to the emperor,
Yeah,
and she died. Demoiselle killed her, but um, so that the notion that the emperor gene line has become stagnant and is not progressing, not growing in any way, not evolving.
yeah,
So maybe Demoiselle as an evolving AI
yeah.
over thousands of years is gently prodding them in the right direction. But yeah, or she could be completely mental and
Yeah, she could
insane.
be nuts. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I
and
mean, I
also
think she's going to be really, yeah, she's super important. She's the one I'm most watching, I think.
yeah, she's
I
fantastic.
think it's because she's a
What a
really
great
great,
character to
yeah,
play
she's
as
a
an
great
actress. Yeah,
actress. Yeah, as well, because she does come across as like, you kind of like her, like she seems, because she looks after him, she's full of advice, she's calm.
she knows
Um,
everything.
she knows that,
Yeah.
but it's weird. She's kind of torn, like she has to be like utterly subservient to them.
And
But like,
also, she really hates people seeing her fixing herself. So the idea that she's a robot, she's
yeah,
got this consciousness that's thousands of years old, and but
yeah.
when she gets damaged, it's obvious she's not human. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? She's
or
not a
or
biological
perhaps or
organism.
perhaps she has some sort of like, you know, a humanity sort of based start. Perhaps she was like an uploaded human consciousness that became
She
something else.
may have
I don't know.
been. Yeah,
It
that
doesn't
is
it doesn't know.
interesting.
I hope
Yeah,
we find out. Um,
yeah.
so it's the great thing about this is that the time jumping is they've managed to sort of like make major changes to the characters, which if you did that in a normal show, like you would be like, he would never do that. But
Mm,
because, especially with Empire, because like this
mm.
Empire is definitely different from
I really
the
like the way they
last one.
split the empire into three as well, because in the book it's just one guy.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it is. But I
yeah,
love the fact that they've done, dawn, day, dusk,
yeah,
and night.
yeah,
When dusk, walks to his. I don't know why they've vaporized your body though. I mean, I'd be like, oh, just give us 5 more minutes.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we'll find out exactly why. But
Yeah.
but I thought, because like I say, this guy seemed a bit more thoughtful, which the other guys see as a flaw. But like, it's obviously,
Mm.
humanity is flawed. I hope that's not the message.
They probably
'Cause
think he's
I don't,
gone right off piste because he's banging the android.
yeah,
He wants to get married and have children. I
yeah.
mean, that's just not what they've done before.
Yeah, exactly. But he's
Yes.
still awful. But like you can
Mm.
tell he's definitely a different guy. It's a totally different character. But yeah, it's the same guy. So it's really well done.
Yeah, it's
Um, and
fantastic.
and
Yeah.
and the time jump, it wouldn't have been possible without the sort of time jumping thing. So yeah, they've done
Yeah,
that.
they've evolved over a
Yeah.
few generations. Yeah.
So it's sort of like, so it's really super interesting. So in a way, we've
Yeah.
got different characters, but they're the same. And the world is, it's like, if you can't change the characters, change the world around them. So
Mm.
they're jumping forward in time. It's very smart. A
Mm.
lot of people, I mean, I saw a couple of sort of shitty reviews of Foundation in general, but a lot of that is about, they've made all these massive changes to the book and stuff. And again, because I'm not that invested in that book,
Yeah.
I don't care. I honestly don't
Well,
care. I think
yeah.
it's great.
Well, also, I mean, it's a very old book. I can't remember
Yeah,
when it was actually written. When I read it, it was a very old book,
yeah,
and like some of the concepts are kind of a little bit out of date. Um, I think someone was moaning about a race swap, but that doesn't actually matter because in the book, I think everyone's brown anyway. That like, well, just different shades of brown because we're in the future now.
yeah,
Everyone's a lot more cosmopolitan and mixed. So
Yeah.
the race swap thing is not a thing, because they were all different colours in the book anyway.
No,
So it's
yeah. I mean,
only
if it
really the
doesn't,
gender swap, and it kind of makes sense because they would not have been able to do, you know, this really interesting story between Gaal and
yeah,
Salva now, a bit where the daughter is a lot older than the mother. You know, the daughter's well into it. The mum isn't. You know what I mean? So that's a
yeah,
really interesting
yeah,
um, thing. And also, I like the way they've. I like the fact that both Salva and Gail went into hypersleep for 130 years, so that they can be part of the next generation of the Foundation. Do you know what I mean? So you
yeah,
get to see
yeah.
you
They've
get
done
you
it.
get to see the whole timeline through
I just,
characters that you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember what I do remember from the book. Is just I remember there being like 1,000 year jump
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
a
yeah,
couple of those. Whereas at the moment we've
yeah,
got 140 years, but like things jump. Massive change a lot. So but I just can't remember. I didn't finish all the books. I don't remember them. So it's like it's all to play for me, to be honest. But like I
yeah.
fucking love it. I think it's a
I
really great.
think
I
it's
loved I
great.
loved
Yeah,
season
I
one.
do.
This one hasn't disappointed for me. It's just again, it's all the cool shit that we suspected from previous series is all like kind of a bit more
Yeah, I
to the
mean,
surface.
it's so rare that we get something good.
Yeah.
You know, well acted, well directed, cinematography,
It's
costumes.
talking about it's not talking about like modern day issues,
No, yeah,
like
yeah, no, it's proper in the fantasy. Yeah,
clunky sort of like commentaries on modern life. Like just none of that shit's in it,
it's
which is great.
great.
It's a
Yeah,
it's a it's a new world. It's a human
yeah,
civilization sort of, but like and you can see yeah, they're still very much people, human
yeah,
beings and stuff like that. But like there's lots and lots of moving parts and
yeah. I'm
um,
loving it. I think it's
me
great.
too. I thought it was
I've,
great. I
I've really
watched.
loved, like, because Salva in the first season, I wasn't quite. I liked her, but she was so stoic.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think, to be honest,
She's really
her and
sort of like,
Gail, yeah, her and
yeah,
Gail, I found in the first season. I mean, Gail's not really likable. Salva's a bit more likable than Gail, I think.
yeah. She's like
Um,
responsible. Salva's very
yeah,
responsible.
and like you can tell, she's sort of like has
And
this sort of
she had that relationship with the guy, and she left him behind to find Gail, and it was a little bit sad.
yeah,
So
it was sad.
she's more
Yeah,
human. She's more sort of
I
human.
mean that's
Yeah,
that's true because like, I was the same as you. I didn't kind of really warm to her in that first series. I just thought she seemed a bit weird and offish and stuff. But like, but by the end, like you say, when she has that relationship with that guy, and they clearly
Hugo,
really
is it?
dig, yeah, Hugo, and
Yeah,
they really dig each other clearly, and
yeah,
they've got a very sweet relationship, and like she has to leave, and it's like really really hard, and
yeah.
you
Very,
really
very
did
sad.
feel for them both, and even
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
just like you have to do it sort of
Mm,
stuff. So, but so that was really good. And to be honest, that's probably why they're good is that they've made them all quite flawed. Like,
mm,
I mean, Gail is kind of like incredibly smart, and
mm,
and Salva's sort of like amazingly sort of like a good fighter. I mean, she's not impervious to anything, but like
mm,
they've made them have their flaws and stuff. So
mm.
you don't because if they didn't have any of that, you would hate them. Because everyone hates a smart ass. Like
Yeah, they're
someone
not perfect.
yeah, and that's again that's the great thing. All of them are like sort of have redeeming and sort of like not so redeeming qualities.
They've been well written. They've
Yeah,
been very well
Even
written.
Harry, like
Yeah, I
Harry.
don't like him at all. I
No,
think
but the
he's a
thing is,
total cunt.
I mean, it's weird because I like him, but like again, you could see. I keep in my mind giving him
I
the
mean, I
benefit
totally
of the
get why
doubt.
Gail's really upset with him and
Yeah,
may have put him in that, in the prime radiant,
yeah,
because like he is keeping things back from her.
yeah, absolutely.
And I think maybe if he'd told her the plan, she wouldn't have been, because she's getting all of these,
Yeah,
because she's really good at maths as well. She's kind of like precogging the future because she's working it all out in her head, and this is why she's getting future sort of echoes in her brain.
Yeah.
And then that's why she went to go and see Rach, because she was worried about him, and that fucked up the whole plan. But if Harry had told her previously what the fuck was going on, that may not have happened, and his plan would have gone forward. But because he's being so sort of like quite arrogant, just like, this is how the plan is going to happen.
Yeah.
I am, the guy in control of the whole plan. It pissed her off, and I get that, and I understand. And they had an argument, and I get why, as a young girl, because she's a young girl still, a young adult, she's scared to death that he's going to come out, and he looks pissed. And also that, that he's got a problem with his mind as well. His mind's not, it's damaged. His mind is damaged. So
I think that's all great. The fact they've made them all,
yeah,
none of them are perfect. The last thing they want is some like sort of kung fu fighting tiny woman who's like everyone's scared to death of, and like everyone, but she's the best thing. That would just be a nightmare. Like, they're all kind of like, no one.
Yeah, they're well-rounded. Yeah,
absolutely.
And I really liked Salva in this one because, like I say, she's really stoic in the last one. So you weren't quite, you didn't really get to see a lot of her personality, but you can see she's had this, like I think Gaal said, that you've had time, to think about meeting me, and I really, you know what I mean? I haven't.
And also, she just doesn't seem the maternal type at all, Gaal.
She's a young woman.
Yeah, exactly. But
she didn't even plan to have a kid, probably,
She's just kind of like, she's just doesn't seem that maternal, and that's good that they put that in rather than sort of all of a sudden,
they have a hug and everything's fucking great. Yeah.
Like, they're all crying. That would have just been fucking awful, because it's like, that's not who she is.
No.
So they've done it really, really well, I think. Yeah. I'm really interested, because I honestly don't really know how they're going to react. Whereas if you have two-dimensional characters like, kick fighting girl boss or something like that, you just know what's going to happen. It's like, well, they're going to win. Whatever they do, they're going to win. It's like, the people are going to die in this. Some of those characters, they're going to not get what they want, and it's just conflict everywhere. It's really well done.
And when you think about it, Gaal has just, I don't know how you'd fit your mind around this, but so she sees her love of her life stab Harry, and he sort of whisks her away, shoves her in a pod. She's asleep for 138 years. She wakes up, finds her daughter. This has all happened within 24 hours in Gaal's mind, and she's a mum.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? It makes sense that she's like, hang on a minute. And it makes sense that Salva's had time to sort of think about it, and is further along that chain of thought. So it's really good. I think it's fantastic.
I do. I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant. Best thing on at the moment.
Really looking forward to the next episode. Is it the 27th next week?
Possibly. No.
Because The Witcher.
It's the 21st.
Oh, is it? Oh, right. So we've got Foundation next week, and the week after we've got Foundation episode 3 as well, and the end of The Witcher.
Yeah.
So you could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I really liked it.
Yeah,
really,
fantastic.
Really
well, good job done by all. Great actors, actresses, fantastic, absolutely brilliant production. Loving it.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely brilliant. I suppose probably good place to leave it then, I suppose.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to the next one. Yeah, and
it's great. Love it.
Yeah, fantastic. Right. Well, I'll probably see you next time then.
Yeah.
See you next time.
See you next time. Bye.